All right, gentlemen, if you can please find task 19. It looks like this. It says Desmos Unit 8.7, but it will say Math Task 19 up here. If you could please first put your name on it, and we're going to fill out these notes together to get ready for a game called Power Pairs. So if you could write down the learning goal today, the learning goal is identify equivalent powers. Equivalent means two things that have the same value. And powers, if we have our vocabulary over here, to break down these expressions, the base is the number that we multiply over and over again. The exponent is the little number that tells us how many times to multiply. And the power is the name we give for the whole thing together. Sometimes we call it an exponent, the whole thing an exponent. But technically, the little number up here is an exponent. That tells us how many times to multiply. The base is the number we multiply. So we're going to try to identify equivalent powers, equivalent expressions that have exponents in them. So sometimes we do want to find out whether two expressions are equivalent. In those instances, it can be helpful to convert between exponents and repeated multiplication. Now we can use some of the rules that we've learned so far to do that, about how to multiply powers and how to raise a power to a power. So let's look at this first one. It wants us to figure out, is 5 to the 5th all to the 2nd the same thing as 5 to the 4th times 5 to the 3rd? Well, you can use your exponent rules if you remember, and it should be on your little post-it note. A power to a power, the fast way to do that is to multiply the exponents. So that means the base is still 5, but the exponent would be 10. The reason, because if you have 5 to the 5th, that's this. If it's squared, you have it twice, meaning you have 10 5s that are multiplied together. Now over here, we want to figure out, is this the same thing as 5 to the 10th? Well, notice in this case, I'm multiplying powers. So if the bases are the same, the rule is I can add the exponent. So I get 5 to the 7th. The reason it's 5 to the 7th is because I have 5 multiplied 4 times, multiplied by another 3 5s, factors of 5. Therefore, I have 7. So 5 to the 10th is not the same thing as 5 to the 7th. So the answer is no. Let's look at the next one. Now this one looks a little weird because you have different bases, right? At least you have the same base up here. So what I did here is I realized that I can make a base of 2 out of 4. So 4 is really 2 times 2. So I did 2 times 2, but I did it 3 times because there are 3 factors of 4. So here's 1 factor of 4, 2 factors of 4, 3 factors of 4. And then I wrote out 2 5 times. Once I saw that, I realized I actually had 11 factors of 2. I didn't even need a calculator to figure out this value. It's 2 to the 11th power. Now, when I go over here, I don't know. It says 8 to the 8th. Is that the same thing? Well, again, I know that 8 is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2. So instead of saying 8 to the 8th power, I said 2 times 2 times 2 to the 8th power. So what I did then is I rewrote 2 times 2 times 2 as 2 to the 3rd. And I know the whole thing is to the 8th power. And I remember my power to a power rule. 2 to the 3rd all to the 8th. I can multiply those and get 2 to the 24th, which is not the same thing as 2 to the 11th. And therefore, those are not equivalent. So pause the video if you need to finish copying these down. Make sure you have everything that I have written down. And then see what you can do about these. You might have to break them up a little bit, but see if you can figure out if these two are equivalent. Write it out and then circle yes or no. And I'll come around, and Ms. Roush and Mr. Smith and I will come around and check. If you are done, or when you are done, please unpause the video and continue. So down here it says decide whether each expression below is equivalent to 10 to the 6th. So again, we're trying to find equivalency. If it is not equivalent to 10 to the 6th, we're going to try to make it equivalent. So I did the first two for you. So this one I realized that we're multiplying. I realized the bases are the same, so I can add the exponents. So this is 10 to the 1st because there's only one factor of 10. There's 3 here and 2 here. 1 plus 3 plus 2 is 6. So this is equivalent to 10 to the 6th. For this one, I said 100 to the fifth. Well, 100 is really 10 times 10. So I did 10 squared to the fifth. 100 to the fifth is the same as 10 squared to the fifth. And then I used my power to a power rule, and I got 10 to the 10th. 10 to the 10th is not 10 to the 6th. Therefore, I wrote no. But my second challenge was to try to make it equivalent to 10 to the 6th. Well, if I have 100 and I raise that to the third power, that would be 10 to the 6th because 2 times 3 is 6. So I said 100 to the third would be the same thing as 10 to the 6th. See if you can do the last two and answer that last question, and then you are done. Task 19. Mr. Smith, Ms. Roush, and I will be around to help you. And that's it.